Unit 12 Stress Management and Post-Traumatic Growth. 12.2 Introduction. You may be a young adult pursuing this course. You might be thinking of which career to pursue after completion of the graduation degree, or which further program to pursue. You might be feeling stressed about your higher education and career. At the same time you might be forming relationship with opposite sex and exploring romantic relationship. You might also be an adult already in job and or with family, or you might be an older person who has taken up this program out of interest or to add to your knowledge. Whatever age and stage of life you may be in, you must be facing stress due to various reasons related to that particular stage. Adolescents experience stress related to the physical and psychological changes. Adults face stress related to their job, family responsibilities, raising children, taking care of the older family members, whereas the older people are stressed about their health, finance, and family and social support. Further, stress is also experienced by typical groups of population such as children, women, people with disabilities, transgenders, people with HIV/AIDS, chronic illness and so on. The underlying point here is that no stage of life and no group of people are without stress. Stress is an integral part of life, even though each one of us invariably wants that their needs and desires get fulfilled and they achieve happiness in life. Think of it, if there were no stress, life will be simple, but may feel boring and lack creativity also. Stress in fact pushes us to perform to the best of our ability and stimulates our problem solving and critical thinking. An optimum amount of stress motivates us and enhances our performance. However, when stress goes beyond this optimum level, which may vary from person to person, it results in stressful experience. Various personal and environmental factors may act as barriers to reach our goals and place adjustive demands on us, leading to the experience of stress. The term stress has typically been used to refer both to the adjustive demand placed on an organism and to the organism's internal biological responses to such demands. All situations, whether positive or negative, require adjustment, and may lead to stress. Stress is often termed as a 20th century syndrome, born out of man's race towards modern progress and its ensuing complexities. Benjamin Franklin 12.3 Concept of stress. The concept of stress was first introduced by Hans Selye in 1936. It is derived from the Latin word strink, which means to tighten, denoting force, strain, or strong efforts and pressure with reference to an object or person. According to BAPCH, stress refers to any force which physically or psychologically strains the coping mechanism of an organism. Stress is defined as a specific response of the body to any demand. Hans Selye, who is known as the father of stress research, states that when we do not get any specific response to the stimulus that creates tension in our body and mind, it is called as stress. Stress can be of two types: positive stress and negative stress. Positive stress is good stress or eustress, for example, stress arising out of job promotion, getting married or moving to a new city, whereas negative stress is known as distress, for example, stress resulting from a cyclone which damaged your house or suffering from a severe illness. Stresses can also be categorized as acute and chronic stress. Acute stress can occur after a very stressful life event, for example, death or accident of a loved one, disaster, failure/setback to reach a cherished goal, trauma, job loss, etc. Here the stressor is sudden, and the symptoms are acute, but do not last long. It is also called as short-term stress. Acute stress generally results in diabetes, headache, rapid heart palpitation, acidity, muscle tension, body pain, etc. Chronic stress, on the other hand, involves long-lasting symptoms, For instance, stress due to bad marriages, chronic illness, successive failures in life, and extremely taxing job/negative work environment. Such stress is long-term and is very harmful for health. The sources of stress are considered as causes of stress that can include frustration, conflict of motives, pressures, life events, fear, resistance, resentment, daily hassles, interpersonal relationships, arising out of biological, psychological, and socio-cultural factors. Generally, the factors that cause stress are known as stressors. These are the factors that challenge the adaptive capacity of the individual. Thus, stressors threaten to disrupt the organism's optimal functioning, and the stress response is the cascade of biological processes necessary to return the system to homeostasis. The factors influencing the severity of stresses are the nature of the stressor, the individual's stress-tolerant behavior, relating to both physical and mental capacity, environmental factors, and social support. Whatever may be the reason, the reactions and responses to those stresses are important that can lead to maladjustment and maladaptive coping behavior causing stresses to the individual. The impact of a stressor depends on its importance, duration, cumulative effects, multiplicity, and imminence. Stressors that involve important aspects of an individual's life can be highly stressful. Further, prolonged exhaustion imposes a more intense stress than does temporary fatigue. For instance, even if there are frequent arguments between the couple, they carry on with the relationship until one day when it breaks in the face of the last straw, that is, the precipitating stressor. A number of stressors at the same time also has a greater impact. For example, if the person gets fired from his job, faces a divorce case, has a heart attack, all at the same time, the resulting stress will be more severe as compared to facing a single stressor. Finally, in most difficult situations, including those involving conflict, the severity of stress increases as the need to deal with the demand increases. Stressors are broadly categorized into 4 types, such as physical or physiological, psychological, environmental, and socio-cultural. Physical stressors include such stimuli as injury, infection, immobilization, malnutrition, inadequate living space, etc. Psychological stressors include such stimuli as threats to self-esteem, failure in an intellectual task, interaction with a hostile person, frustration, conflicts, poor health, poor financial conditions, life crisis, and so on. Environmental stressors include such stimuli as crowding, loud noise, extreme temperature, air pollution, sensory deprivation, environmental overload or underload, etc. Socio-cultural stressors include such stimuli as social isolation, cultural deprivation, social disadvantages, poor socio-economic status, disturbed family, undesired socio-cultural activities, low social status, and so on. General Adaptation Syndrome Model of Stress. Hans Selye, the recognized father of stress research, talks about General Adaptation Syndrome, GAS, to explain the process of stress reaction. The GAS has 3 stages: alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. In the alarm stage, the external stimulus /stressor activates the internal stress system of the body. There are a number of physiological and chemical reactions, such as increased pituitary and adrenaline secretions, noticeable increases in respiration, heart rate, and blood pressure, and a heightening of the senses. If the stressor continues, then the GAS moves into the resistance stage, during which the body calls upon the needed organ or system to deal with the stresses. However, while there may be a great deal of resistance to one stressor during the second stage, there may be little, if any, resistance to unrelated stressors. This helps explain why a person going through an emotional string may be particularly vulnerable to other illness or disease. Finally, if the stressors persist over a longer period of time, the reserves of the adaptive mechanisms during the second stage may become drained and exhaustion sets in. Besides the physiologically oriented approach to stress represented by the classic gas model, which remains a vital dimension of modern stress research and stress management, attention is also being given to the psychological, for example, mood changes, negative emotions, and feeling of helplessness, and the behavioral, for example, directly confronting the stressor or attempting to obtain information about the stressor, dimensions of stress. All three dimensions, physiological, psychological and behavioral, are important in the understanding of stress and coping strategies to manage stress. Diathesis stress model. This model of stress explains the occurrence of stress as the outcome of a dynamic interaction between the hereditary factors and the environmental factors. Thus there is a biological predisposition, for instance for getting high blood pressure or blood sugar, which makes the person vulnerable. However, the manifestation of this will depend on the environmental factors or the stressors in the life of the person. Similarly, the person may be prone to getting irritable/anxious, but this will interact with the environmental stressors for the person, that will act as the precipitating factors, to actually get anxious. Hence this is also known as the vulnerability stress model. 12.4 Strategies/techniques for management of stress. Management of stress requires identifying the stress and the stressors, i.e., the factors causing stress, and also assessing the level of stress. Identification of stress requires one to identify the various signs and symptoms of stress, which can be physical/physiological, emotional, and behavioral. Identification of stress. Physical signs, changes in heartbeat, blood pressure, body weight, diabetes, sleep problem, stomach upset, aches, headache, frequent cold or infections, muscle tension, changes in menstrual cycle and libido. Psychological signs, difficulty in concentration, and troubles in remembering and recalling, worries. Emotional signs, being angry, moody, irritable, sad, anxious or frustrated. Behavioral signs, poor self-care, not having time for the things you enjoy or taking to drugs and alcohol to cope, smoking, overeating, gambling, excessive internet use. We can identify the stressors based on situations, activities, and relationships that cause trauma to one's physical, emotional, or psychological self. It can be from school, work situation, family relationship, legal matters, finances, health, illness, environment and other living situation. The most widely used psychological tool for measuring the perception of stress by the individual is the Perceived Stress Scale, PSS. It assesses the extent to which individuals perceive their life situations/events as stressful. Stress assessment also involves questionnaires, checklists and interview with the person and significant others to understand the stress and take appropriate measures to manage the stress. Stress can be a short-term issue or a long-term issue. However, regular management of stress is the key to lead a happy life. The most important point is how one perceives the stress events and facts. This is best explained by Hans Seal. Stress is a perception. It is the demand that is imposed upon us because there are too many alternatives. The concept and principles of positive psychology can be applied to manage our stress effectively and to promote a healthy life and a positive response to family and society. 12.4.1 Strategies focusing on physical aspect and breathing. Physical exercise. Regular physical exercise is beneficial for physical health as well as mental health. Aerobics, walking, jogging, swimming, riding bicycles, playing softballs, and tennis etc. can help in dealing with excessive stress levels. These forms of physical exercise increase heart capacities, lower act-rest heart rate, provide a mental diversion from work pressures and offer a means to let off steam. Relaxation technique. Jacobson Progressive Muscle Relaxation, JPMR, is a very comprehensive relaxation technique which is based on the principle that stress and relaxation cannot occur together, as these are manifestations of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system respectively, which reciprocally inhibit each other. The technique mainly starts with breathing in, holding the breath and letting go while contracting and relaxing 16 muscle groups such as arms, hands, shoulders, neck, forehead, eyes, scalp, jaws, mouth, chest, trunk, stomach, lower back, buttocks, thigh, foot, calf. The contracting and relaxing of muscle is to be done as follows: bend the arms up to the elbow, hold for a few seconds and relax. Clench the hands in a fist, hold for some time and open. Pull the shoulders in upward direction, hold in this position for a while and then release. For relaxing the neck, push back the head for a few seconds and then bring to the original position. Similarly, bring the chin down towards the chest, for a few seconds and then bring to the original position. For chest, take deep breaths, hold for a few seconds and then relax. Pull in the stomach for a few seconds and then relax. For thighs, pull the knees together for a while and then relax by drifting them apart. Squeeze the buttocks together and relax. For feet, pull your toes up in the direction of your knees, hold this position briefly and then relax by letting go. Heels can be pressed against the ground for a few seconds and then relaxed by letting go. Now, rub your palms together, place them on your eyes for some time, and then slowly open your eyes. Yoga and meditation. The main aim of yoga is self-realization. It is a way of life which enables one to gain inner awareness and develop a higher consciousness to attain moksha. Yoga as a practice originated in India, and the term yoga is derived from Sanskrit word yaj, meaning to unite, which indicates a union of consciousness and body. At the practice level, yoga includes asana, bodily postures, pranayama, breathing exercises, and dhyana, meditation. There are various types of yoga such as karma yoga, jnana yoga and bhakti yoga mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, which refer to the path of action, path of knowledge, and the path of devotion respectively. Ashtanga Yoga of Maharishi Patanjali talks about the 8 limbs or steps in the path to self-realization. Meditation, dhyana in Sanskrit language, aims at quietening our mind to gain inner awareness and spiritual enlightenment. It also helps manage stress and enhances one's health and well-being. There are various types of meditation such as mindfulness meditation refers to developing awareness about one's thoughts and emotions in the present moment, without any judgment. It involves shifting from our default autopilot mode to moment-to-moment awareness mode. Mindfulness meditation originates from Buddhist teachings. The main characteristics of mindfulness according to Kabat-Zinn are being non-judgmental, cultivating patience, being open-minded, having trust, non-striving, acceptance and letting go. Mindful breathing. Sit comfortably with erect and relaxed posture and eyes closed. Focus on your breath as you inhale and exhale without trying to change it. If any other thought comes to your mind, just notice it without any judgment, and then gently bring back your focus on your breath. Mindfulness can help reduce stress and promote positive mental health. Mantra meditation uses a repetitive sound, usually Om for chanting. It can also be any other word/phrase or 1 to 2 lines prayer, which can be spoken loudly or quietly. It is prevalent in Hindu and Buddhist traditions and aims at achieving a deeper consciousness. Transcendental meditation also involves chanting of a mantra / or a word which is specific to each practitioner, and gradually intends to transcend or move beyond this specific chanting. Biofeedback. Biofeedback provides feedback about the physiological changes that occur in stressful situations. According to Ghosh, biofeedback is a technique of making unconscious or involuntary bodily processes, as heartbeat or brain waves, perceptible to the senses, as by the use of an oscilloscope, in order to manipulate them by conscious mental control. Awareness of such physiological changes as heart rate, breathing, blood pressure etc. will enable the individual to consciously regulate them, by engaging in deep breathing, relaxation exercises, changing our thoughts etc., and reduce stressful experience. 12.4.2 Strategies focusing on cognitive processes. Cognitive restructuring. The way we think about a particular situation / event influences the way we react to it. Our beliefs affect the interpretation of the event. For example, failure in an exam may lead one student to put in more effort for the next exam, whereas the same event may lead one to feel dejected. The underlying belief here makes the difference. In the earlier case, the student may feel sad about the result, but looks forward to perform better next time, whereas in the latter case, the student thinks this is the end and thinks himself as inadequate and incompetent. Thus the antecedent event results in a particular consequence depending on the individual's beliefs or thought process. This is explained in the ABC triangle given below. Thus cognitive restructuring requires one to restructure or modify one's thinking patterns. Based on this, Aaron Beck has developed the cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, which focuses on modifying the irrational thinking patterns of the individual, resulting in adaptive behavior and stress reduction. Positive attitude. Positive attitude refers to having an attitude that good things will happen, that one would be able to deal with a challenge or an adverse situation. Thus it involves thinking in a positive way, and having positive emotions towards the stressful situation. As the proverbial question goes, if the glass is half full or half empty, positive attitude involves looking at things / situations / events / people and focusing on what positive or good is present rather than looking at the negative or absent side. Thus it involves characteristics of optimism, hope, divergent thinking, and resilience. Positive attitude makes one confident, results in problem solving, reduces stress, and increases the inner strength of the individual. You must be thinking, why don't we have a positive attitude then? Mostly we are attuned to negative thinking because of the negativity bias of our brain. Our brain easily picks up the negatives as it concerns survival from an evolutionary point of view. However, we can easily develop a positive attitude by developing awareness about it. Practicing positive attitude is a constructive process where you do not negate the negative thoughts. Rather you adopt a critical approach to the situation and think about the best possible alternatives in the situation while maintaining an attitude of positivity. Positive thinking makes your thinking flexible and opens up possibilities. The focus of thinking is contextual, not global. For example, if you failed the job interview, you think in the context of one interview which did not go well, and you do not think that you will never do well in a job interview. Positive attitude involves cognitive restructuring where we deliberately engage in thinking in positive terms. We need to practice positive affirmations and focus on the positive side of any challenge. Engage in positive self-talk and use visualization strategies. Create a mental picture of what you want to achieve and how you want to see the things. This will then help you to engage in constructive and divergent thinking regarding ways to achieve this goal. Remember that we first create a mental picture, the physical or actual creation follows this mental creation, for instance, when you are doing a project, or planning a trip etc. Since we are hardwired for negative thinking, it will require real effort and practice to change our default mode of thinking and engage in positive thinking. This will help to manage our stress and be effective in a situation. Expressing gratitude. Gratitude refers to the quality of being thankful or grateful. It involves showing appreciation for something. Expressing gratitude also fosters positive attitude in the individual as it reduces our attention on the negative things in our life. If you think about our traditions and culture, our festivals and rituals offer occasions for showing our gratitude towards nature, other people, and our ancestors. We need to recognize and consciously focus on cultivating an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude not only makes you feel good by generating positive emotions, but also boosts our physical health and psychological well-being. It releases dopamine and serotonin which make us feel happy. Gratitude widens our thinking and perspective, and enhances resilience. One needs to practice gratitude, for example, by writing gratitude letters, that is, letters that express your thankfulness to someone, gratitude visits where you visit people to express how grateful you are for their support, counting your blessings, i.e., focusing on the good things in your life, keeping a gratitude journal where you write down your positive experiences during the day etc. Gratitude for yourself. Be aware about yourself. Find out your strengths, focus on what is good in you and express gratitude. Gratitude for others. Be aware of contribution of others in your life. Your parents have given you birth, raised you, provided for your optimum development, education and so on. Other significant people in your life have also contributed to your life in various ways. Your friends, colleagues, neighbors have extended help and support to you on many occasions. Think, identify, and express gratitude for those instances. Gratitude for everything. Be aware of this precious life, the wonders of the nature, this vast universe, the elements of the universe, and express gratitude. Coping strategies. Coping can be described as deliberate efforts directed towards decreasing the negative effects of stressful situations. An adaptive coping style helps reduce stress, whereas maladaptive coping has negative impacts on physical and psychological health of the individual. Problem-focused coping tries to address the problem itself, that is, removing the cause of the stress. For instance, you switch on the fan if you are feeling too hot. However, emotion-focused coping deals with the emotions arising out of the stressful experience. For example, you felt hurt by your friend's behavior and you tried to manage your hurt feeling by distracting yourself in some other activity. On the other hand, acceptance-oriented coping focuses on developing a sense of acceptance for the stressful situation where the things are not under control of the individual, for example, accepting the loss and damage of house and other properties due to the cyclone. Individual differences exist in the way individuals cope with stressful situations. This could be due to various factors such as personality of individuals, gender, tolerance level for stimulation, psychological hardiness, style of attribution, and learned helplessness. 12.4.3 Strategies focusing on effective processes. Emotional intelligence, awareness of emotions in oneself and in others plays a crucial role in managing our stress. In addition to the thinking component of stress, we need to pay attention to the affective component of stress. Knowing about the emotions will help us in changing our thinking and behavior so that it results in adaptive behavior. Thus thinking and emotions need to be integrated, which is called as emotional intelligence. The 5 components of EI, according to Goleman, consist of self-awareness, empathy, self-regulation, motivation, and social skills. Emotional intelligence basically involves developing awareness about emotions in oneself and in others, and managing emotions. Positive visualization. Positive visualization involves the use of imagination to visualize about a future outcome which we desire, but may not be able to achieve at the present moment. It can be called as mental exercise that helps one to reach the desired goal. It mostly has been used in the context of sports to enhance the performance and skill of the players. However, it can be used to enhance your performance in any aspect and field. We can utilize our brain's ability to think about future and create a mental pathway to enhance our potential. As we have mentioned under positive attitude in the earlier section, everything is created twice. First you create a mental picture of your desired object, and then it is carried out in the reality. For example, you plan out the project or your itinerary, and then you carry out it. Thus thoughts precede our actual behavior. Hence if we can make it stronger at the thought level to begin with, it may transfer to the action level. There are two types of visualization, such as A. Outcome visualization, where you focus on the end goal, and B. Process visualization, which focuses on the entire process that leads us to our desired goal. When we engage in both outcome and process visualization, it leads to effective results. Visualization is not just thinking and planning about a certain thing, but it requires vivid imagination involving all the senses. It includes the cognitive as well as affective processes related to the desired object/thing. When we repeatedly visualize something, paying attention to the minute details, and attaching all our senses with it, our brain gets the signal and gets motivated to engage in selective attention, goal-directed thinking and divergent thinking. Further, effective visualization requires us to be self-aware, knowing our strengths, beliefs, and values so that we know what we really want to achieve. 12.4.4 Strategies focusing on behavior. Engaging in leisure activities. Leisure activities are those that we engage in to relax, reduce our stress, and feel good about ourselves. These are pleasurable activities done voluntarily, such as playing games, drawing, pursuing one's hobbies, socializing, being with nature, and so on. Research focuses on leisure as a coping resource which has ample benefits for our physical as well as mental health. Usually leisure time is thought of as a wastage of time and or given less time for it. However, leisure time has manifold benefits and can help us engage in work and other activities with new vigor. As there are various stressors, we also have a variety of stress busters or coping resources. Various leisure activities depending on the individual's preferences and interests can help reduce stress in the individual. It is more informative to study each leisure activity and how it helps to cope with various stressors rather than studying the many ways of coping with certain stressors. Connecting with people. Connecting with people is an important tool to reduce stress. When we connect and interact with others, it releases the stress and anxiety within. It results in catharsis, which reduces the stress in the individual. Feeling connected with others helps one to get the necessary social support, increases their confidence, and generates a feeling of trust. Connection with our family and relatives, friends, neighbors, and the community is a great asset in managing our stress. It provides us the support and has a positive impact on our physical and mental health. Even if the person is not present physically, still the perceived social connection has lots of benefits. It provides a feeling of confidence, comfort, and assurance that someone is there to provide you with help and support. 12.4.5 Stress management strategies at the organizational level. Communicating effectively. Communication is an important interpersonal skill at the organizational level. It helps in conveying things clearly and avoids conflicts and misunderstanding. It can thus reduce stress and improve relationship. Main aspects of effective communication are active listening, being open to feedback, paying attention to nonverbal behavior, removing barriers to effective communication, providing personal space, and being assertive. Resolving conflicts. Conflict resolution denotes ways in which conflict can be dealt with or resolved. One of the conflict resolution strategies include avoiding. This denotes withdrawal from conflict. Though, in this case the actual conflict may not resolve. But individuals may use this when they feel that confrontation or engaging in conflict is not worthwhile and the discomfort that they may experience while in conflict is much more than when they avoid it. Another strategy can be competing. This is used by individuals who engage in conflict necessarily to win. This is a win-lose situation. Individuals using this may display assertiveness but not cooperation. Next can be accommodating. In this case, the individual is cooperative and not assertive. Though, this again may not be healthy as one of the parties may just give in and as such the conflict remains unresolved. This is a lose-win strategy. Similarly, collaborating also can be one strategy where individuals are assertive as well as cooperative and the parties may come up with an agreed solution to resolve the conflict. This can also be termed as win-win strategy. Compromising also help in conflict resolution, where each of the party will compromise in some way. Thus, there is partial cooperation and assertiveness. And though the parties may not be completely satisfied, they are not dissatisfied as well. Individuals who are able to resolve conflicts are often excellent mediators, rational, and able to manage difficult personalities from a place of empathy. Problem solving. Problem solving involves finding solution to a problem at hand. It can be explained as a mental process that includes analysis of the problem in order to find a solution for it. Problems can be categorized into routine and non-routine problems and well-defined and ill-defined or poorly defined problems. The steps in problem solving include identification of problem, brainstorming for ideas and solutions, selecting a solution and implementing the plan of action and reflecting on the effectiveness of the solution. Strategies of problem solving include trial and error, heuristics, algorithm and insight-oriented methods. 12.5 Post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth, PTG, refers to the psychological growth that occurs following an adversity. The recent COVID-19 pandemic offers the best example of this. The stressful experiences and the challenges faced by people throughout the world have been overwhelming and shocking. However, we are still persisting in our livelihood, adapting to the situation, and trying to find meaning and happiness while undergoing a personal process of change. The term post-traumatic growth refers to the adaptation and accommodation of the individual to any crisis or traumatic situation and coming out of this by coping to the situation in a positive manner. Post-traumatic growth, PTG, and post-traumatic depreciation, PTD, can be defined, respectively, as positive and negative changes in the after effects of trauma. These changes can be in the following domains such as personal strength, relating to others, new possibilities, appreciation of life, spiritual and existential change. In other words, post-traumatic growth indicates transformation after an intense traumatic and struggling situation that occurs mostly automatically and naturally, without psychotherapy or any other formal intervention. The concept of post-traumatic growth has been in existence in the teachings of our religions, spiritual and philosophical deliberations, which talk about the elements of potentially transformative power of suffering. In the scientific research, The term post-traumatic growth was first postulated by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun 1995. They define PTG as positive psychological changes in the aftermath of highly stressful and challenging unavoidable occurrences in life. PTG brings about a positive shift in our mindset. Instead of focusing on the negatives, the person searches out and emphasizes the positives in the adverse situation. The cognitive restructuring in the process helps us grow as better human beings. Tedeschi and Calhoun talk about 5 indicators of PTG in their post-traumatic growth inventory: PTGI appreciation, relationships, new possibilities and opportunities, personal strength, and spiritual enhancement. The process of PTG may differ based on the types of trauma, personality characteristics of the person, nature of social support received and experiences afterwards. Further, positive attitude, gender, cultural factors, and socioeconomic status may also affect the PTG. Post-traumatic growth is an important positive psychology construct that needs to be differentiated from resilience that is much talked about in the field of positive psychology. Differences between PTG and resilience. Post-traumatic growth, PTG. Resilience occurs only after exposure to trauma. Can be present before trauma also, available as part of one's personality. An outcome of highly stressful situation / trauma. May not occur after exposure to trauma. But if a person shows PTG, he develops resilience in the process. PTG always involves resilience. Resilience may or may not lead to PTG. Involves transformation in the personality, changes in one's thinking, beliefs, attitude and behavior. May not involve any change unless the person is required to show resilient behavior in any situation. Post-traumatic growth can be a significant phenomenon, creating growth, balance, and continuing our life with renewed vigor and positivity. It includes aspects / constructs related to positive psychology such as positive attitude, resilience, emotional strength, emotional competence, heightened gratitude towards life, spirituality, and finding meaning in life. 12.6 Let us sum up. Stress is like the salt and pepper of our life, presence of which makes our life lively, energetic, varied and dynamic. However, one needs to ensure that the stress does not go overboard and is within the stress tolerance level of the individual. Optimum level of stress will motivate the individual and enhance their performance. In the present unit, you learned about the meaning of stress and the various types of stresses in our life. It is important to identify the stress so that proper steps can be taken to manage it. Various techniques of stress management were described, focusing on physical, cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspects. You also learned about post-traumatic growth, an important concept in positive psychology. Post-traumatic growth helps one to go beyond the stress and turn the adversity into opportunity or positive learning experience.